An elevated
ikiwa mzuri kuliko ile ya 2023. Tunataka ushuru ishuke. Gharama ya maisha irudi chini.
Tuwache mashindano, tuwache hujuma, tuwache mabishano, tuwache kutafuta umaarufu.
Mmekuwa kwa power mwaka moja na wananchi wanaumia.
Zakayo awache kutoza watu ushuru. Zakayo ashuke, aje hapa chini pamoja na sisi.
Hakuna nchi itaendelea bila ushuru. Sasa nauliza jameni, hata tukiwa milioni 50 ndio tuko kwa Kenya hii. Rais wetu anasema tutoe ushuru. Tukitoa shilingi moja, hata mwenye hakwenda shule, hiyo ni milioni 50. Tukitoa shilingi 10 ni milioni 500. Tukitoa shilingi 1000 ni bilioni karibu 5.
Wale walio katika judiciary, wale walio katika legislature, nataka niwaulize, jameni, tuungane, tuwache mashindano.
As the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, we shall not agree and frustrate the policies and the plan of William Samoei Ruto.
I will not tell you what we will do with them, but we shall deal with the ignorance of the judiciary. I have never failed you and I will not fail you on this one.
Is what we call judicial adventurism. People who have gone beyond the reach of what they are supposed to do.
Those of you who are leaders in the judiciary, in the executive, in the legislature, you will be judged on what you do for the vulnerable.
Use our judicial system ikiwe activism system. Tafadhali wafanye kazi yao ya kuweka haki kwa Wakenya. Sisi kule bunge tuliokubaliana na wewe wakati wa uchaguzi, tukakubaliana na wewe na agenda yako, na tunasimama kidete kuona sheria zile zinapitishwa kule bunge inaimarisha na inaendelesha ile malengo na ahadi uliyowapatia Wakenya.
Kama tupitishe yale mambo yote ambayo yanaguza vyumba na maneno ya afya. Lakini inashangaza Mheshimiwa Rais kwamba watu wachache wanaketi pale na wanaanza kutoa sheria, majaji ambao wajui sisi kila Jumamosi tunachanga kusaidia wale watu ambao wanaumizwa na ugonjwa wa kansa.
Unajua ajabu ni kwamba wale wanaenda kupinga kotini, yeye tayari yako na bima ya afya. Alafu unaenda kupinga mwananchi mwingine asipate. Na hiyo hako naye bima ya afya yako naye comprehensive medical care inalipwa na hawa wananchi. Sio ni uadui ya kupindukia jameni.
Tukiuliza swali tunaambiwa tusuulize. Iko independence of the judiciary. But somebody must also hold them to account. And they also must be accountable. And they must also accept to be held to account. We want to ask the judiciary that let them put the interest of the nation ahead of any other consideration, so that they can be able to be part and parcel of an arm of government that is supporting the transformation of our country.
Mjue wananchi wanaumia. Na kama hamutarekebisha hii msafara, usicheze na wananchi. Msicheze na wananchi. Hiyo si onyo, it is the truth.
Hata kama wanaringa ati wako na pesa, ati wataenda kuhongana kotini, ati watanunua sijui mawakili, mimi nimewaambia wakili ya hawa watu ambao hawana pesa ni mimi.
Your Excellency, we want to encourage you. We want to encourage you that you are on the right path.
Na kwa sababu mimi siwezi kuhongana kotini, pale kotini ufisadi, mimi nitaenda nifieke nimalize kotini, nimalize mambo ya ufisadi kotini. Si ndio? Kwani nyinyi mnataka nitumie pesa yenu ya ushuru atende nilipe mtu kotini ni muonge?
These people cannot set an agenda for you. You are elected on a manifesto, a plan that you must implement.
Kile kitu mimi nitaomba tu, tupatieni rais nafasi hata kama ni miaka 2, miaka 3. Tutaona mabadiliko kwa hii nchi.
The only problem we have in Kenya ni madeni. That's the only problem. And that is what has hidden my head for the last 1 year. Because if you are collecting, if for every 10 shillings you collect, 7 shillings unaenda kulipa madeni, there is a problem, isn't it? Yes, because then you are left with 3 shillings. Kulipa mshahara, kulipa counties, kuendesha, kufanya maendeleo, sijui utafanya namna gani. 3 shillings. My intention is that we should bring it, we should flip it. We should be using 3 shillings to pay debt and 7 shillings to kuendesha Kenya.
All right, and that's the question about that. We shall be looking at that briefly on the tail end, but also we want to train our focus on what is happening within Azimio so far. As you can see in this particular picture, and this editorial cartoon, Azimio and Kamwene. I don't know what a contraption of a car is this. It's a Mini Morris, someone will put it, but it's a Mini Morris with the tail end seem to be, yeah, we can go every which way.
This must have been driven by Mheshimiwa Kiro at some point. This type of a car.
What I know is a Peugeot.
This is a Peugeot. It's a vintage Peugeot.
Some version of
403. 403. It's in a Renault. And of course, there has been that particular development within Azimio with the Kamwene saying ours. This is a faction that is developing within Azimio, and the Kamwene seeming to be gagging to get a grip of Mount Kenya. And Wiper parties, we can see also Kalonzo is pointing every which way right now. Azimio leader looking behind, holding court with Martha Karua. Sufuria bado iko kwa kichwa there. There has been an attempt to also say, or maybe there has been sentiments regarding going back to the streets as far as demonstrations are concerned to address the cost of living. And Stano also seemed to be on the money. This is Baba's 2024 diary. So which method will be more effective? And we've seen one method is now up in his collective sleeves. Mandamano daily is an option. Punda amechoka. Referendum. Boycott some products. Impeach Ruto. Right now they are talking about impeaching, of course, the CS of Treasury. Will there also be the sentiments from LSK as well about impeaching the president? So everything seems to be also up for success as far as impeachment is concerned, if you go by what LSK is saying, because it's been piling up for a while. And swearing in Baba also seems to be another option. And Kalonzo Tosha, that is now what will be driving a rift within Azimio. And we can see we have Kalonzo alongside President William Ruto there in their horses. But you can see behind, Baba is not riding a horse. What is he riding?
A mule. A mule.
Is a mule is a donkey. Right? Kalonzo Tosha. So is this bound to drive a rift within Azimio? We've seen Jubilee, one of the Jubilee party leaders, David Morale, coming to the fore and saying, you know, in 2027,
It's Raila.
Right, it's Raila. Kalonzo should just slow his roll. Chill your horses for now, right? So are we seeing, and there are talks, I should say again, on forming another coalition. I wonder if Kipruto Arap Kiro is still in Azimio. Fungua roho.
What I know about, there are 3 things that will not change. William Ruto will still be a formidable candidate in the next election, regardless of the shape of the economy and many other factors. And number 2, unless we in the opposition are properly united, given the fact that even students nowadays, they get 2 result slips bearing the same name, different grades in the same school. I'm not sure that the next election is not going to be manipulated electronically and we get different results like the ones in DRC, where somebody who got 18% 4 years ago is now getting 87%. The second issue is that it is normal for people not to agree, because if we agree today that it is Raila, it is Kalonzo, it is Professor Fred Ogola, that person will be destroyed in the next 3 years. I just want to take Kenyans down the memory lane that any serious opposition is formed almost on the eve of elections, whether it is NASA, whether it is NAC, whether it is the other one, the one of 2013, it was on the eve of the election.
Which quarter was it?
Yeah, yes. Because you cannot underestimate the regime in power. They can decimate you, they can buy some of the players, and therefore, I'm not giving up. And I'm not trying to declare my candidate, who my candidate is for the next election. I will say, as long as we are thinking collectively as Azimio, and we are moving regardless of whether there are some side shows, whether it's Kamwene. Kamwene is a positive initiative. Let them do their Kamwene. Then eventually we get to the same vessel and we sail across. I say so because the first time I got involved in the coalition building was 2002, where there were three major players, Ford Kenya, DP, and Charity Ngilu's party. And at the beginning, it looked like it was not going to take shape. And we started at a low level with somebody like Shema Chodho under what we were calling People's Progressive Forum. And it was frowned upon by our party leaders that we are not likely to get far. Until we gathered momentum, we moved together, we came together as the three parties. Then we realized there were some of the people who are likely to derail the process unless we rope them in. So we got 4 people from Fort Kenya, 4 people from DP, 4 people from Ngilu's party. We are calling them the P12, so that they discuss and harmonize the position. And for us, who are not strictly in any of those parties, because I was still in Kano, we were now doing the intelligence and realizing how do we need to navigate the process. So condemning any of the players, Kalonzo, Kamwene, or any of those, is not good for us. It is good for the ruling coalition. Because I always believe that if we are on this side, let us be together up to the end. And we really, Dibal, we don't have to win the election, but we have to bring order to this country. My worry is that we are losing the country. We are not just losing the election, we are losing the country, because another 5 years of Ruto is going to be a political disaster in the making in this particular country. So I still got a lot of hope, and I'm still consulting. I do not want really to tell you my strategy. I consult with everybody. Even Freddie, I consult him once in a while. I'll be consulting him very closely on other issues, including the law, and we move together.
It's me only.
I have a lot of hope.
It's me only. You've not consulted.
No, he advises you on the screen. He
advises you on the screen.
I advise you here. and you know, and this issue, this issue of dismissing Raila, I know Martin has a different opinion. The president who was born in Liberia is 1 year older than Raila. He's celebrating his 80th birthday this year. He was celebrating 79 last year when he won the election.
He's officially an octogenarian. Right?
Yeah, but what's wrong? Biden is octogenarian.
It's not about age. It's not about age.
Yes.
It's
So
about
I want us
strategy.
to disabuse ourselves of this notion that when I'm above 60, which I am, therefore I'm useless, I cannot do anything.
No, it's not about age.
Yes.
It's about you, the person.
We're looking at The Economist as well. Made in 1942.
Yes.
Roadworthy in 2024 is a vintage. And it's a big issue as well in the US election.
Ages.
Rare.
Yes.
If you just have a copy of The Economist as well.
You know the ball,
No, it's okay.
You finish.
No, well, I will always defer to him because I know he's an activist. And activists, at times you have to listen to them.
He can stand it right here in the studio.
Hold on. Let's hear from Professor Ogola there.
I think, as far as I'm concerned, I have the following points. First of all, I agree with my senior here, and we've been talking about this thing. This thing should not be about me, should not be about Raila, should not be about Kalonzo. It should, first of all, be something about the people. And maybe, if you like, because of my religious values, what would God want for Kenya? This is a very important question. What would God want for Kenya? Look at the suffering that is going on. Like, for example, a child has been found in a classroom dead because of results. There are some children who cannot go home because the parents are saying, you told me it's an A, you can't bring me a D. For example, at the other time when I issued a statement on Tuesday, I was being told that I was wrong. And I had reliable information that exams were moderated in State House. because of the following thing. When results came out, immediately, the students...
moderated instead?
They were moderated. I have...
You know, when you make such
let me
statements,
explain. Let me explain myself.
Evidentiary documents.
Right? You see,
you
that's...
That
is how... Let me explain this. The logic is this one. The results were supposed to be released last year. Were you told why they were not released last year? I talked to a secretary general of one of these. I want to say either Kuppet or NAD, so you can choose which one. I don't want to mention the name because it's either of them. I talked to them in person. And they told me when the results were coming and they were enumerating the results, he told Machogu, do not release these results during Christmas. Wait people to enjoy Christmas and New Year and do them later so that people can enjoy, which means they knew it was bad news for everybody. And then Machogu says that he used a formula. It is written in the papers. He used a formula. Now we want to ask him to bring the scientific nature of that formula so that we can verify it. So putting the exam aside, I'm going to the point of this election here. What I'm trying to say is that, do God want people to suffer this much? When you have done exam, you are in mock, you got a B+, and normally you do better in examination KCSE than the mock. How do you move from B+ to D? How can students of one school, all of them, score D? So for sure there's something wrong with this government. That's not just education, in everything. So unitedly, what we need is to change this administration. If we can, should be before 2027. But the worst case is that we should actually do it in 2027, the worst case scenario. Now, who would be this candidate? I think the question of the candidate is not the issue now. The issue is which formation and leadership can change the situation. If Kira says, Fred, you will come to me together with XYZ people, we form a coalition and change it. And if all of us agree, it will not be about Fred, it will be about who can change the situation. If Raila can be the one, why not? If Kalonzo can do it, why not? If Martha Karua, even Joho, why not? For me, the issue is that the common enemy for Kenya is one William Ruto and his administration, because that's what is causing all this trouble. So if the fight between Kalonzo and Martha is uncalled for, because the common enemy, the person sitting in State House, is William Ruto. If Kalonzo has a formula, let him give us. Simply telling Martha Karua you should not grow is not an issue. In fact, for me, Kalonzo, the problem that Kalonzo has, he's never told Kenyans why he wants to be president. You cannot be president because you have supported Raila for so long and he has not supported you. That's not a manifesto. Kalonzo should come and paint a picture of how he can change this economy and change Kenyan suffering, rather than it should be me now. Martha Karua should come and set his case. I have always talked about how we want economic liberation in the country. And I've written a book called Solomonic Economics, isn't it? And the answers for economics are there. If someone tells me, Professor, come together, let's find how this economic theory can help this team build towards changing the situation in the country. In any position, I'm willing. Even as a consultant, I'm willing. Because it's not about me. It's about what God wants for people and the rest. But the problem we are having in the moment is that all of us know, and this is in the public record, how Raila lost the election. Is it likely that he will change? Now, that's a big question I can't answer because I'm not God. Only him and his God can answer. Kalonzo is somebody who is fully entitled. Kalonzo has a lot of entitlement. He just believes, I should be supported. I should be made president. For what reasons, he has to really explain to us what this reason is. And truth be said, the person who got 6.9 million votes in the last election is Raila Odinga. In life, we say, you are as good as your last assignment. Now, Kalonzo, the last election he ran, he had 950. If you have 2 cups and you want to help the other one, do you carry the cup with 6.9 million to add on 950? Or you pick the one that has 950 to add to 6.9? That's the question. And the way elections, the way candidates are decided, Mheshimiwa, you know it very well. The question will ask, Raila, stand up and tell us, how can you sit a sitting president? Raila will say, last election, I only did not get 200,000, isn't it? What can we do to make that work? What will Kalonzo say? Raila will say, I have X amount of money that I can run. I have a party which has a national reach. You see, those are criteria. But simply saying, hey, maybe because you have supported Raila for so long, so what to Kenyans? So I'm believing that the candidate needs to come and tell us, like I've been telling people, what can we do to change the people's future?
Thank you.
Rather than coming and just making noise and saying, it is me this time. There's nothing, it's not about turns. It's not about this is my turn. It's about the people, not your turn.
Fantastic. Let's hear from Chacha.
Yes, Martin and Mheshimiwa say I'm an activist, but I've never engaged in party politics, I must confess. But I know some theory about politics also. Raila himself is on record admonishing some characters who are messing a burial of a spouse, of a former, member of parliament, a former assistant minister, Peter Odoyo. And he told them, if you are serious, you want to run for any elective position, the right time to come is 2026. Now, when again now we see all this in Azimio, we ask ourselves, so where did they get the advice? We also are aware that some pollsters have done, polls on popularity of parties. And as it stands, the ruling coalition, despite all its 1,000,001 deficits, appears to be most popular, particularly UDA. I thought, from where I sit, that now is the time for all these, outfits within Azimio to build their strongholds, draw in numbers, reorganize their outfits, political parties, so that when now they'll come to, stake a claim of what they want to be, you'll be saying, this is what I can offer. I was a bit concerned when I saw Wiper, for example, that Jubilee was more popular. Jubilee had 3%. It was UDA.
With all its woes right now.
Yes, with all its woes, it had 3%. Wiper was somewhere, I think 1%.
Yeah.
And then Ford Kenya and the ANC were sharing 0 point something. Now, that is not somebody who should tell us he wants to be president. This is the time, first of all, to focus, to show that you are looking at the bigger picture. We are not interested in this distraction. And in fact, as my colleagues have said, the biggest beneficiary of all these, intrigues is the ruling coalition, and particularly UDA. Remember, they have even been telling their own colleagues to dissolve and join, UDA. I don't know where they learned communication, but that for me is not how to communicate to people who helped you to get to power, and then you handpick, somebody to be talking at them that way. I would wish to see, and I'm happy that ODM has rolled out its own party elections, because that is what we want to see. We want to see party leaders who are elected. These people are appointed all over the place. I don't know, Secretary General, I don't know, Chairman. Let people owe it to the membership of the party. The parties will be stronger. I do not know, but I think Azimio is also a victim of the succession politics going on in Mount Kenya region. And my understanding of Kamwene is that, and the reason it's even called a name that whose meaning I don't know, is because it is meant for Mount Kenya. So I didn't understand even why Kalonzo got involved into Kamwene stuff. Because those people from Mount Kenya in Azimio are also staking their claim, There is a vacuum, or there is likely to be a vacuum in the fact that, the former president Uhuru Kenyatta can be anything else but cannot run for president. And therefore, at some point, when he will feel secure enough, because it's Kenya Kwanza that has forced him back into politics. He's a human being, he feels insecure, and for him, that outfit, Jubilee, is the only platform on which he can protect his interests. We have seen his farms invaded and so on. So what we are saying is that if Azimio were to make meaning to Kenyans, they ought to focus on those issues that are currently so dear to Kenyans, the cost of living and so on, even as they do their own internal ground building, which we do not need to see in the headlines, because that is an internal party issue.
Martin Olo, consultative forums. What is dramatically different from what we had with the county forums that UDA was holding, or Kenya Kwanza coalition before
prior to the
elections? Election.
There's nothing wrong. I mean, a political leader, party leader, can and
but
should.
It's not to be bereft of ideas. We're just piggybacking from what other coalitions have done.
We don't know exactly what is different from what the others have done. But I also want to go on record. In Kenya, parties don't have ideas. They just regurgitate. That's why you see in ODM, new ODM, UDA, UDM. There are no ideas. There are no ideas. There are no ideas. But let me come back to something to just advance our conversation here. There is a misnomer to say that we have political parties in the sense in which even the Constitution anticipates in this country. And perhaps the only reason why ODM remains today one of the better parties is that it's the only one that seems to have done elections at least maybe twice or three times. Forget about the men in black kicking the boxes and so on. But it has done some elections, of some semblance of elections. The last 20 years or so, we have not seen any elections. I think the real elections of any political party were done by KANU before. NAC arrived on the stage, didn't hold any elections, folded up after the first term. PNU came, became a ruling party, never held any elections. It went out of power with Kibaki. TNA came into town, never held any elections. URP came into town, never held any elections. UDA has never held any elections. Wiper has done some elections here and there. Generally, ANC and others don't do elections. So what we have in this country are not political parties. There are some briefcase outfits run by people. If you remove Raila from ODM, you have a problem. If you remove Kalonzo from Wiper, you have a problem. And so on. So that you are seeing individual outfits. Perhaps the biggest message that Ruto has sent to Uhuru is that you have never built any political party. When I was with you, you asked us to form Jubilee. You left me I left URP, you left TNA. I ran Jubilee. And today, I can even take away Jubilee from you. I'm Nyang'anya Nyumba. So that he has done. And if you look at the organization in terms of politics, Ruto's abilities always better than Uhuru's on political party issues. Today, the Jubilee is not Ruto. Uhuru doesn't have Jubilee. He has tried it. He has not been able to get all of it. That's why a bigger chunk of it is with Ruto. So are people in Central right to be agitating for their own thing? Absolutely. Because then they don't have a house. And if they are going to think about future politics, they must organize something. So they are right to sort out a political party.
So we're likely to see a faction in Central.
Absolutely.
The house
not
of
a faction.
Kamwene and the rest.
What you are going to see in Kamwene is all others coming together and forming something. NAC, Kenya coming, PNU coming, or any other formation that is not on the other side.
The
so you are likely to
as well.
see. Yeah, Kinjuri, sometimes I see him on that side. Sometimes I think he vainly is with Kenya Kwanza. But the point is that we have to be able to say that politicians must create relevance. Why should Raila go around? He must go and inspire confidence in his supporters that he's still around. And
but
he must say...
looking at that Mount Kenya block, I'm sorry just to interrupt, because if we have two separate factions, the one is leaning still to Kenya Kwanza, and we have the Kamwene faction, which will be a breakaway, so to speak, or if it still remains to be clear whether they'll still be under Azimio, how likely is anyone going to benefit from Mount Kenya? Because that has been, like the tilting and the moving of the needle. Just to make sure that you scoop a lot of electoral baskets there.
You raise a very important issue. Because if you go back to 2022, Ruto was able to dislodge the people from the mountain of Uhuru. The question is his politics going to still make him popular among the people of Central? That's the question. And if people of Central organize in the alternative, are they likely to walk away with a chunk? Yes. My answer is yes, as we speak. Because the Ruto that won elections is not the current Ruto that is, because all those tax policies that we have talked about hurt business people, hurt small entrepreneurs, hurt asset owners, and the people who are feeling that heat are mostly business persons with some of their roots, most of their roots on those regions. So they are hurting. Are they still with him? Are they still following him? Are they regretting? Those things are up there in the air to be tested. So Baba is saying, I want to go and check with my people what they want to tell me. Of course, he's going to come back and tell you that, you know, I went out there, people have told me X. So you can even read, he has a template. He just wants to go and have people rubber stamp it, and then he'll come back and say, you know, people have said I'm still relevant. Okay, he said maybe, but relevant in which area? Maybe we'll get to know. Is Martha Karuas and others trying to be relevant? Absolutely. Politicians must remain relevant. That's why when you see Mheshimiwa Kirwa wake up in the morning to come to this studio, don't think he's coming here because he likes you. He must still be relevant. He must. The nation must know he's still around.
Be careful if that is your advice.
You know, I was about to write it.
The institution is very key, right?
I was about to write a check for you to be consulting.
You just blotted your own copybook, right? Right there, you lost the consultancy.
You know, Dibal, without really exaggerating the importance of this show, this week I've been following very closely, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and up to yesterday. And it is very enriching. And it gives me a lot of therapy to really understand that Kenyans are feeling the pain I'm feeling. And they're getting frustrated by their own leader, who does not have policy that is translated from his manifesto. That's why in one rally he's talking about something else, in the next rally another story, because there is no policy emanating from the manifesto. Because we had NAC manifesto with certain values and we translated into policy, whether it was agriculture sector, service industry, and all those other sectors. There was policy guiding the government of the day. That should have been done by this regime. Going back to Asmio, being an insider, not now, in the past, remember I was in the summit of 8 people. There is so much that goes on that some of the things that you are told outside, like Kibaki Tosha, there was a lot of build-up. And even that particular day, when Raila said Kibaki Tosha, we had not agreed that we were going to announce the presidential candidate. We were at Serena almost up to about 4 o'clock. Then the rest crossed over on foot. But because we had said we are going to announce the presidential candidate on another day, but we are telling these people we have agreed on one candidate. We in NAK, we had agreed that Kibaki was going to be our presidential candidate, and Wamalwa, deputy vice president, Ngilu prime minister on the 18th of September. But now in between, Kasarani became Kisirani. And the LDP team came and they were with us. Then there was a lot of consultations up to the last minute. Actually, it is Raila who was instrumental. At times people say Raila is selfish. He was instrumental in saying we come together or the project will win. And we were in Omino's house in Muthaiga by 3 o'clock. That day I did not sleep. We went, looked for Kibaki. Kibaki said, it's okay. What were we going to give to Raila? We said Prime Minister. He said no, but we gave to Ngilu. Then he said we didn't give to Ngilu, we gave to the women of Kenya. So we looked for Ngilu, and Ngilu told Kibaki, if we don't get Raila and we lose the election, even that Prime Minister's position I will not get. or rather we give it to Raila so that we win this election and we are part of government. So some of these issues, don't get frustrated. What you read in the media, it's normal. People have to, even when you are weeding maize, because I'm a maize farmer in a small scale, so jembes must hit each other. And when you hear the noise from weeding, don't say children are fighting. It is normal. I'm so sure that two things will remove Ruto from government. His own promises, he overpromised, is under delivering. The second issue is Kiburi. Because I've said this regime is Kiburi Kenya. It is not Kenya Kwanza. KK Kiburi Kenya. Because everybody akisimama Kiburi. Sholei, I know how to fix judiciary. How? She was the registrar and she's a lawyer to boot. Then he says you can fix judiciary? Are we really going by the rule of law or are we going to state of anarchy? So these are some of the fundamentals. I just want to assure my colleagues here that not all is lost. The president will come from our side in the next election.
Right. As we're just looking also at, we have 8 minutes just to wind up. Let me just hear from you, and I whip up a story about unemployment, because there was a very unfortunate also incident in Western Kenya where somebody died of suicide because she's not been employed. I just whip up that, and then we discuss, because this is, we have a huge constituent of the e-graders, 50,000 of them. Some legislators say, what do? We cannot, they are unemployable. Briefly.
I think, as my senior has said here clearly, politics should never be about centered on individual. Unfortunately, also individuals are the players, but should not be centered on the individual. And here, all the politics in Kenya Kwanza is centered around one William Ruto. In fact, why William Ruto will destroy himself, even if it is the process of the stealing and corruption that are being done, all the deals is centered around him. In fact, he makes the deals personal. I have intelligent information. I can tell you here the value. You might question me, but on Monday, I release a dossier. I do it out of serious research. So just everything being centered around him. And
so on Monday we're expecting a dossier?
Yes, on Monday. Everything centered around the individual, and then
on what?
Putting
a dossier on what?
On the issue how the president has a legacy project to make money for himself. You'll see that I've already finalized it, just waiting Monday. If I'm not arrested between now and Monday, you'll see me.
I'll be on standby just in case.
So, no, let me tell you what, you'll be shocked. We'll be shocked with the numbers, because I've done a lot of detailed research. I want to state that the fact that William Ruto got around 3.2 million votes from Mount Kenya, actually higher than what he got from Rift Valley, and what he has done to Mount Kenya people is so disheartening. It will be only out of theft, if not miracle, that William Ruto can become the next president in an election which is done free and fair. And that notwithstanding, how organized is the opposition and how organized is the us now, and how self-interest will be put aside to really form up a coalition which also do not have that ego thing. Because the ego has been at a very big center in this Kenya Kwanza government, and the focus should be on how can we help the people, not more of I should be president, so and so should be president. How can we salvage the people out of this situation? Because the situation is really bad. If you look at how Kenyans are suffering, you know, some of us who are actually politicians, who get calls and people send messages, school fees here, we really get it. We understand how everyone is asking for money from everybody, not because of their wish. They are really in a serious situation. And I believe that when Ruto removed subsidies from Kenyans, remember, if I do the analogy of Canaan, when you're moving from Egypt to Canaan, you are traveling. You cannot be given fertilizer to plant. You need subsidies to help you cross over to the land of milk and honey, is when you actually can start planting. If you are traveling between now and Somalia, and I'm telling you, I'm giving you seeds to plant, how can you plant seeds and you're on a transit? So Kenyans, the subsidies like manna that came from heaven, even God gave the Israelites manna because God knew that they were in a journey. You remove the manna from people, then you keep people desolate, dying of hunger, then you're telling them to wait. I think for me, that is not just a leader who is self-centered, but a sin. it's a sin to keep your brothers dead while for you are alive, because I've just looked at the program here. The money I've told you that the president actually collects, and there's nothing he's doing with it, really. And if you look, he's having better cars. He's changed cars 5 times. The official car of the president is on record, has changed 5 times. Now, pavilions are being done in State House. Refurbishing pavilion of State House cannot wait, but Kenyans can wait when they are hungry and dying. State House being not habitable. Hustlers are living in very bad houses. Which house is habitable for them? You go to Kibera, go to Kurikwanjenga, go even to Eldoret, go to all these places where Kenyans are living. Even my house is not as habitable as State House, but I'm living there.
That's why you need the housing levy, so that you can actually...
No, they have everything. The president is saying wait until maybe 5 years or 3 years. You've heard even Moses Kuria said, even in his own face, someone has said give the president 3 years. But why don't we give him 3 years to do State House while everybody is having no school fees? Nobody is having no medical bill. He promised NHIF, it was not done. Sugarcane farmers are supposed to pay it by December, like you said, they have not been paid. And you are putting very clearly the only consistent thing is inconsistency. So what I'm trying to say here in short, Debal, I would like to urge everybody else who is genuinely disheartened by what Kenya Kwanza has done to Kenyans to unite. Because if we are not organized, in fact, if you're not careful, the fight between all these opposition, if they don't fix it, Ruto will harvest it. I remember that Ruto, why he's taking Jubilee, let me clarify that. Ruto knows the only headache Raila gave him in Mount Kenya was because of the Jubilee wing. Killing Jubilee is so critical for him, and that's why he's trying to fight that Jubilee, because if Jubilee survives and becomes strong, like he said, is stronger than Wiper, then actually he's in trouble.
Right, thank you. Right, time to wind up, and I just wanted to whip up this particular report that we have in the People Daily today, where a mother, and it's just going to showcase what some people are really suffering from, especially when it comes to employment. A story there by Zado Kangire and Eric Chuma saying a woman who graduated from Masinde Muliro University in 2019 died by suicide after searching unsuccessfully for employment for 4 years. The body of a 27-year-old Vera Okoth was found by her mother in a bathroom at their home in Umiru village of Gemi, Siaya County. Family members said before her death, she removed all her certificates and placed them on her bed. Siaya County Police Commander Cleti Kimayo said the mother, Henry Okoth, told police she had gone to wake up her daughter up at around 6:30 a.m. but found her missing in her room. On checking the bathroom, which is adjacent to her room, she found her body hanging with a rope around her neck. The mother told the detectives that the previous night, before she went to sleep, the deceased told her that she was frustrated and wondered if she would ever find a job. Vera, who had graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree, also told the mother she had made over 500 job applications in vain. And you can read the rest of the details in today's People Daily. We wish to, of course, console with the family, our deepest sympathy and condolences over this very unfortunate event that has happened. Your closing remarks, Churchill.
My closing remark is that judges do not own their own motion. And in all these cases that the president is complaining about, no single judge or a bench has, in their own motion, initiated an order against the executive. It is citizens exercising their rights under Article 3 of the Constitution to defend the Constitution. It is citizens exercising their rights under Article 20 of the Constitution and 21. And it is the judiciary as directed under Article 23 of the Constitution and properly guided on the kind of reliefs that they can give to a city, that they can declare whenever a citizen approaches the courts. Therefore, my humble appeal that the president stops this and call for attack on the judiciary.
Right, thank you. Right. Martin Olo, your closing remarks. You're actually now right to go to the streets as a member of the Law Society of Kenya.
Yes, we need to go and defend the rule of law and constitutionalism, and to remind the president that he swore by the Constitution, that he will protect the Constitution. And indeed, this Constitution demands everyone, including non-lawyers such as ourselves, please let's go on the streets. It demands of us to defend it. So please let's defend it. But on that story, sad story about the suicide, my condolences to the mother and the family. But basically to say, let us not give up. Young people, let us not give up. There is always hope. And we need to inspire you. We need to tell you that you can try your hand on other things, not just full employment. A little bit of business here and there, using those skills should be able to help. So don't give up, young people. There is still life to be led, and we must live it.
Yeah, let me join Dr. Martin Olo in passing my condolences to the family of the late Okoth, because it is saddening that we take our children all through to university, and at the end of it, they end up being frustrated. I have two recommendations that when we are providing any curriculum, whether it's CBC or the old system, we need to be talking to our people, or now we are creating opportunities here at home, and if there are any excesses, we export abroad. It is saddening to hear leaders during graduation telling people to look for jobs elsewhere, and they do not even understand the conditions of being out of this country, doing some of the jobs that Kenyans do away from Kenya. It is important that we build our capacity internally, then excess, we take it elsewhere.
Thank you.
Finally, it is important that we do a lot of psychotherapy. Many people have mental illnesses, especially the young people, the unemployed, and even people in workplaces.
Thank you.
It has increased from 25% now to 35%.
A huge leap, yeah.
Yeah,
briefly.
My condolences too, and I want to say that this mental health, we've been thinking it happens at the C-suite, where some CEOs, because of pressure, and the rest is affecting, but it seems it's starting very young, and I think there's a need to do a lot of mental health awareness, and also, checking on people. There must be some sort of support, religious support. And my concluding remark is set us forward. If you go to Psalms 121, which says, I look into the mountain, where will my help come from? And they say, my help comes in the name of the Lord who made the heaven and the earth. I want to add to Kenyans, don't wake up and look at Ruto in State House. Your help will not come from there. Your help will come from the Lord. Go work. This government needs to be forgotten, and we focus on organizing ourselves on how we can solve our problem, because it's very clear. Watu wanasema tunaomba serikali, tunaomba rais. Usiombe mtu, omba Mungu, mwabudu Mungu. You are going to do we are going to worship idols if you continue looking at him.
Thank you.
Because it's clear lies after lies won't take us anywhere. Let's go back to God, and God will salvage our situation.
Right, thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate your very insightful insights this morning, and of course just informing Kenyans what has been happening, looking forward as well for the next week. Today also we turn our focus on what the demonstration will portend, especially from the Law Society of Kenya. I lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, just as Professor Fred Ogola has quoted Psalms 121. We'll leave you with that. Thank you for your valued company. You've been watching Mwongozo today. Up next is News Diary.